من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن سار على سبيله إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So inshallah, what we'll discuss today, those who are permitted to break their fast, okay, there's about 7 categories of people who are permitted to break their fast. When we mention them, we also mention what is upon them. If they can't fast, if they're not to fast, what do they have to do? Okay. Also, the thing that we did mention is that how do we start the month of Ramadan? The month of Ramadan begins either برؤية الهلال, either by sighting of the new moon, or بإتمام شهر شعبان 30 يوما. And if it's not able to be seen, then you finish Sha'ban 30 days. طيب. And it's sufficient is one witness for the month of Ramadan to commence. Someone who's trustworthy, that they say they have seen the new moon, is sufficient based on the hadith when one of the Sahabi came to the Prophet and said he saw the moon and he commanded people to fast. Outside of Ramadan, the new moon is established by the minimum of 2 witnesses. 2 witnesses. So the first person that we discuss is Al-Marid, the one who is sick. Okay. When it comes to types of sickness, we have 2 types of sickness. Ma yurja bur'uhu, that which is expected to come to an end, or hope that it will come to an end, or ma la yurja bur'uhu, and that which is not expected to come to an end, and that's more of a terminal, long-term illness. فنقل إجماع على أن المريض يجوز له الإفطار. There's ijma' that mentions consensus that the one who is sick is permitted to break their fast. I not fast. That person is permitted to not fast. طيب. Now the sickness that we're talking about is a sickness that one, either المرض يزيد بالصوم. The sickness will increase by way of fasting. Now, or يعني يؤخر الشفاء, or cause a delay in cure, or يؤدي إلى الهلاك, it will lead to a person's death. These are the circumstances that are discussed when it comes to a person fasting or not fasting whilst they are sick. As for zukam, toothache, having a cold, having a toothache, having a headache, this is not justified reason to break your fast. This is not justified reason to break your fast. So the one who إذا خاف زيادة المرض بصيامه أو كان يشق عليه ولا يضره فله أن يفطر. So if a person fears that the illness is going to increase due to them fasting, or it's going to be great difficulty upon them but not cause them harm, then it's permitted for them to break their fast. The third type of person, or the second type of person when it comes to sickness, الذي يضر الصائم ويخاف معه الهلاك, the one who the fasting causes them harm and they fear with it also they will lead to their perish. This one إذا كان المرض يضر الصائم وخشي الهلال بسبب الفطر واجب عليه. If a person fears that fasting is going to lead to their death because of the great hardship it causes them during their sickness, then this person is wajib to not fast. That person is wajib to break their fast. If a person was sick and fasting will increase their sickness, that will cause them harm, that may potentially lead to their death, to break the fast is an obligation upon them. وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. As I mentioned, don't throw yourselves with your own hands into your own perish. Into destruction, no. And this also shows taysir fi shara', the ease within the sharia. وهناك قاعدة فقهية المشقة تجلب التيسير. Hardship necessitates ease. Hardship necessitates ease. Now, as for the one who is sick and is hope that their sickness will come to an end, that person يصوم بعد رمضان في أيام أخرى. That person makes up the days after Ramadan. أما الذي لا يرجى برؤه من المرض. As for the one who's not hope, it's a long-term illness, more of a terminal long-term illness. He's not able to fast. هذا لا يقضي بعد رمضان. This one doesn't make it up after Ramadan. بل يفتي. This person has to pay. This person feeds a poor person for each day. And according to the Anas ibn Malik رضي الله عنه كان يدفع إما في بداية الشهر أو الليلة قبل العيد. He used to do it for the days either at the beginning of the month or the day before Eid, and he would feed them all at the same time. So it's permitted to do it for each day you feed a poor person, or to gather them all at one time and feed them all at the same time. So for example, you're not going to fast the month of Ramadan. So the first night of Ramadan, the first day of Ramadan, you feed the amount of masakeen of the month. Yeah, and that's it.
So they either pay day by day or do it all in one?
Yeah. Excellent. But المرض اليسير, the easy illness, the one that as you mentioned, al-zukam or suda, the one. If a person has major migraines, like migraines that they're not able to fast, that person can break their fast. That's not a normal headache. The reality is, the first 3 days of Siyam, you're going to go through what? Headaches, withdrawal symptoms and the likes, missing all those delightful coffees in the morning, those who drink coffee, or whatever it was, your nice little chocolate bar that you're used to having. All of these things, you're going to start catching up on you, so you're going to get headaches, dehydration. That headache is not permissible to break your fast for. No. Headache, a person is permitted to break their fast.
You know the hadith that you mentioned, Anas ibn Malik, was he the one that paid for the...
Yes. If a person has a sickness and if they fast, it's feared that they may die, but they still fast, and they try to just weigh that up themselves, their fast is accepted, but they may be sinful. No, but their fast is still sahih if they fast. But it's not permissible for them to fast. A person may be sinful for fasting by putting himself in harm's way. No, but it will still be accepted from them as that they fasted. You see, but when it comes to determining whether you can fast or not, this comes from professional advice, not a person saying in their bedroom, yeah, I don't think fasting is for me. La. It comes from a medical professional, preferably Muslim. If they're not Muslim, you have to make sure it's someone who's trustworthy, not known for animosity towards Islam, and the Muslims, not someone who's known for lying, someone who is going to speak the truth. Now, If someone is sick and they break their fast during the day, do they have to stay away from food for the rest of the day and drink? لا. اختلف أهل العلم. There's difference between them. Do you stay away from food for the rest of the day, food and drink, or not? What's sawab? Well, what's correct? No, you don't have to. You don't have to. The next type of person who's allowed to break their fast, Al-Musafir, the traveler. The traveler is permitted, the one who's traveling is allowed to break their fast. Send me your questions in private message, inshallah. Or if it's related to what we're talking about, Siyam, the message at the end there'll be questions, inshallah. So, yeah. Not right now, I'm in the lesson. But message, inshallah. The one who's traveling, if traveling and your fast is going to cause you great hardship that may lead you to collapsing, fainting, then this person is not desired for him to fast. And that's because when the Prophet Muhammad was traveling and he was fasting, another person had collapsed. When they asked about him, he said he was sa'im, he was fasting. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ليس من البر الصيام في السفر. It's not from piety to fast while you are traveling. Does that mean that is this evidence am? Is this general or khas? Specific. Specific to what? That person only? Anyone in that situation. Anyone who has the same wasf, the same hal, the same condition, that if they were to fast, they will collapse or it will cause them great harm or danger to themselves because they're traveling, then that person is not from piety to fast. It's not from piety to fast. There's no need to be a hero in that sense, as they say. Some people want to be high and mighty. Say, no, I can do it, I got this. This is not a place for motivational speaking. It's a place for following the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No. And he mentioned لَيْسَ مِنْ الْبِرِّ الصِّيَامِ فِي السَّفَرِ. It's not from righteousness to fast and traveling if that is your situation, if that's your circumstance. Now, also, of the thing that's mentioned, اختلف الأهل العلم, that the scholars are in difference of opinion. The one who doesn't find any hardship in their travel, fasting and not fasting for them is the same. Now, it's not a difficulty. Now, what's preferred for them to do? Some of Ahl al-Ilm, they say it's preferred to break the fast as a traveler, and some say it's preferred that he still fast. Like for example, you might be traveling, it's only 3-hour flight. You don't have to go anywhere. You can sit down and rest. You can get a taxi when you come out. You're not going to be in hardship. You're not carrying bags on a camel or a donkey or anything. So it's going to be a level of comfort and ease. So in those situations, it may be preferred that a person fast. Now, as for the traveler who, when they travel to a place, they reside for longer than 4 days. After 4 days, they have to fast. After 4 days, they have to fast. And that's the madhab of the Jamhur of the Maliki, the Shafi'i, and the Hanafi. No.
Does the traveller still have to make up for those fasts as well after?
Yeah. So let's say I travel somewhere, I'm going to stay there for 2 weeks. I'm there for more than
4 days.
4 days. So maybe for the first 4 days I don't fast. But after this I have to fast. If I'm residing there for longer than 4 days, then I fast.
So do you say it's the opinion of the Shafi'i, Maliki and Hanbali?
And the Hanbali now. Let's say a person does cargo, so they're always traveling. but they have a place where they consider to be home. But they're always between travel. That person's allowed to break their fast and make it up later from that which is correct. Also, the thing that's mentioned, okay, the one who breaks their fast because they travel also upon them, ماذا عليه؟ لا يفدي عليه القضاء. They have to make it up. They don't pay anything, but they make it up after the month of Ramadan. Of the things that is not permitted, that a person travels with the intention to not fast. So they travel intentionally to avoid fasting the month of Ramadan. This shows illness in a person's heart. Like in Labas, if you're in a place where the hours are long, so you travel somewhere, Muslim land, where the hours are shorter. There's no harm in that. There's no harm in that. Alhamdulillah, for us now the days are getting short, inshallah.
So, but if someone does that, do they have to do the 60 days?
No.
Or they just have to do
We'll talk about the kafara.
Understand? You know with the fasting after, so you like 4 days after that you fast. Is that the same with like prayer? So after 4 days you have to do the normal prayers. That
Allah. I'm of the opinion that whilst you're traveling, you are for the salah you're traveling. No. Although you do have some who say otherwise. Wallahu a'lam. Ahkam al-musafir is
What's the strongest opinion?
Wallahu a'lam. Whenever someone says al-qawl rajih, we learn something. This is nisbi. Unless qama ala dalilin wadih, sadih. When you find ikhtilaf bayna ahli al-ilm, and one sheikh said al-qawl rajih, هذا الراجح عند هذا الشيخ وليس للجميع. Now, and this is what you find humbling. When we understand ikhtilaf بين أهل العلم and we understand this, الراجح نسبي, then we start to understand each other, we start to no longer fight and you have to follow my opinion, otherwise khalas, I'm going to warn against you and the rest of it. This shows the person is jahil, they don't understand khilaf بين أهل العلم. They have to study these things, masail of khilaf, how to handle differences of opinion. Because look, we got prominent scholars of our time, Sheikh Al-Bani, Sheikh bin Baz, rahimahumullah, differing in matters, and these matters they differ are not in usul, they're in matters that are fi ijtihad. For example, so a brother got told, in the first tashahhud, where you raise your hands, it's the sunnah to raise your hands when you're raising from the first tashahhud, okay? When do you do it? When you're down or when you're standing up?
when you're done.
اختلاف بين أهل العلم. Now, but Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah says al-rajih when you're down. Now, okay, هذا based on ijtihad. So we say, okay, a person does it, a person doesn't do it. They do when they stand up. Alhamdulillah, no problem. La bas. It should be like, I don't like praying behind that one, He raises his hand when he stands up. That's what he raises his hands from the floor. Ajee. That shouldn't have no impact on the salah. Those are not differences where you're worried. There's no concern. The differences that are concerning is when a person opposes the usul of the da'wah of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Now, the foundations Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah are built upon. When they differ in these things, that's when they become problematic. Now, but when there's room for ijtihad, then some say take the easiest opinion. Based on evidence though, not based on desire. So, the next person that's discussed is Al-Kabir wal-Ajuz, the senior, the person who's old, whether they're male or female. This person, the one who is old and not able to fast, they don't make it up. They pay for each day. They pay for each day.
What determines, like, at what point can you not fast anymore as an old person?
If it's going to cause you harm, no. Because of your seniority in age, it causes you harm to fast. Or you're too weak, you don't have the strength to fast. No.
You know, you said that individual can either pay all of the fasting one day. Does it matter at any time in the month of Ramadan, or does it have to be specifically on the first day or on the last
Wallahu alam, any time is fine.
day? Any time. Okay.
No. But as long as it's before Eid.
Before Eid.
So as for the senior male or female, then they are not able to fast, then they feed for each day a poor person. The fourth type of people is al-hamil wal-murdi', the one who is pregnant or breastfeeding. It is permitted for the woman who is pregnant or breastfeeding, whether she fears for her own life or the life of the child, to break her fast, i.e. to not fast. But she makes it up after. She doesn't pay. Depending that she makes it up. And my personal advice to the women that give birth and that nurse their children, make it up in the winter days. Some women, mashallah, they're back to back pregnant. The last 10 years of their life was 5 of them pregnancy, 2 years feeding. So you're 10 years straight. Allah Mubarak. So what do? They make it up after.
10 months straight.
Yeah, not straight in a row. You make it up. No, you make it up. But I advise them to do it in the winter when the days are short, when it's not going to cause you harm to fast. For example, there's times you could break your fast at like 4 o'clock. Alhamdulillah. Like, do those times. You know? Also, the things that's mentioned, I asked the Sheikh about this as well. For example, let's say a sister asked a person who was considered a person of knowledge, and the madhab that they followed was that you can pay. You can pay instead of making it up. And she did that. But then what seemed to be stronger was that you don't pay, you make it up. What does she do? She doesn't have to, she got a fatwa from someone of knowledge, then she doesn't have to now make it up. But if it becomes stronger now, that this is what is the stronger opinion, then going forward, she can't follow the old opinion.
You know how he said it's permissible to break it if she's scared it will harm the child? Does this also
Or herself.
Or herself, they still have to come from a professional as well. It can't be her own.
No, it's like everyone knows if you don't eat and there's nothing going through the placenta to the child, it can be problematic. So it's based on fear. It's a possibility, you see. Because of the things that many people are tested with is miscarriages, stillborn. This has become a lot more abundant. This is how Allah tests mankind. Now it's become more of a frequent test for some persons to be patient, put their trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's nothing is going to happen unless that Allah has decreed it. But still we have to take the means. So if the woman felt fear because of the baby not being full time and relaxed, no problem. Or if she feared for herself and her own health, because being pregnant, we can't comprehend that as men. But we know it's something where women are in great weakness. Any weakness upon weakness. No. So, alhamdulillah, again, these are evidence of al-taysir fi sharia, the ease within the legislation. Now, so what is correct is the one who is pregnant or breastfeeding, she makes it up. She makes it up after, and she doesn't pay. Because some say you should, if you fear for the child or if you fear for yourself, then you make it up and you pay. Like, you don't pay, you make it up. The next thing that is mentioned, Al-Mihan As-saalikeen. Those who have very hard labor jobs, where fasting may cause them harm, great harm. Let's say if someone working in a mine and is digging underground, a lot of sand and all the likes is always going to be going in your throat, and this may lead to a person to have extreme thirst and then collapse, and in that place, that kind of situation, they can die. Then this person is allowed to break their fast. So any job that you have that is it weighs in on you, that may lead you to harm, then it's permitted for them to break their fast. Don't say I'm an Amazon delivery driver, I've got bare parcels today. I'm gonna break that. No. Don't do overtime as well. No.
Do they pay or do they fast it back or do they do both?
The one who breaks their fast for the difficult job, they make it up after.
They make up.
Yeah. The only one who pays is one who doesn't have the ability to make it up. As a principle, the only one who pays is one who does not have the ability to make it up. No.
So what about if they would, for example, be working year round and they don't really have any break to be able to fast?
In general, the days of winter is always short.
No, I mean as in
And
like their job, they don't have breaks.
Also, I think it's a crime to work 7 days a week non-stop. They don't allow it, isn't it?
You are,
Even in this country.
Yeah, like full-time hours like that, they don't. Yeah, there's a limit. Yeah. So if you're getting violated, go and look into that, yeah? Hold on a minute. They're going to the graft. Mom, what's the harm? I ain't seen holiday in when. Nah. The body has rights. Yeah. You know, every time, sometimes you go through moments where it's like, there's something you want to attain, so you might say, do you know what, I'm going to go hard and do 7 days a week for about a month. They're still going to cut that with tax. And that's what breaks your heart even more. When they tell you how much they took from you and how much you would have had. Allah, dhulm. So the other type of person who is permitted to break their fast is the one who is compelled, forced. Al-Mubtasim. The one who's been compelled by force, by threat of life being taken away. For example, a person comes to you with a gun and says, break your fast now or I'm going to shoot you. What are you going to say? Where's the burger? Either if you ate yourself because they forced you, or they force fed you, guess what? Your fast still counts. And you don't have to make it up. Your fast, sawmuhu sahih. And that's the statement of the Shafi'iyya and the Hanabila. So if you're compelled to break your fast by force, threat of life and death kind of thing, or someone's threatening you with like severing your limbs, something like this, you're forced to torture or anything like this, then if you break your fast in that state, your fast is still sahih. The fast is not broken. But if you're a new Muslim that says if you don't break your fast, boy, I'm not going to talk to you ever again, don't break your fast. Okay. The last type of persons who like to break their fast is al-jihad, al-mujahid fi sabilillah. The one who's fighting jihad. Is that clear what we mentioned so far? Any questions? No.
I put here, you know, if the musafir is the musafir sinful if he doesn't break his fast? So even if he gets hardships and everything, is he still sinful?
If it's going to cause him harm, yes.
So he is sinful for it, but it's still accepted, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Just like the sick person.
Yeah.
If the person who put themselves in harm's way from fasting, they may be sinful for this.
Same with the traveller. If they go like they intend to fast, so they leave England and then go to another country. When do
No.
they break their fast? In what time? Because obviously they're changing time zone. How do they like if you're like
At the place where you land,
at the place where you know?
follow that time.
And I also asked, is there a certain amount to feed? So when you feed someone, is there a certain amount to feed them?
So it's roughly about 4 pounds.
Okay.
Roughly about 4 pounds, about 2.5 kg. Similar to zakat al-fitr. No. And you do it based on the asal is that you pay zakat al-fitr and sadaqah in the land you live, not sending it abroad. And you know, this actually causes harm because if we keep sending abroad, what happens to people that's actually here that's in need? There are people poor here, you know. There's still many people that fit that category of masakeen and faqir. So it's not praiseworthy to send it back home, as they say. Rather, the asal that you do it in the land that you live in. Now, because for example, people come asking a message for zakat al-mal, and we say it's finished now. No one's paying zakat al-mal. So it puts people in hardship. Now, also the things that is discussed now, what breaks your fast? What actually breaks your fast? Okay, now. The mujahid is allowed to break the fast, they just make it up. Sorry, they make it up. The mujahid makes it up later. Sorry, it's cold. It's making me so tired. It's cold. Allah Akbar. One day it's warm, the next day it's like biting. So that which breaks the fast, first eating and drinking. Naam. At-tanawul at-ta'am wa-sharab, eating and drinking. Now, as for the one who eats intentionally, من أكل أو شرب شيئا مما يتغذى به متعمدا وهو ذاكر لصومه فإن صومه يبطل ونقل الإجماع على ذلك. Now, so of the things that's mentioned, the one who eats intentionally, that fast is null and void. And there's scholarly consensus upon that. What's upon them is one, al-qada. One, they have to make it up. As for the kafara, the expiation of breaking your fast intentionally, اختلف العلماء. There's difference of opinion. The Hanabila and the Shafi'iyya, they all say لا تجب الكفارة, that the kafara is not obligatory. Now, it's not wajib to do the kafara. And this was also deemed as the stronger opinion by Ibn Mundhir and Imam al-Nawawi and also Shaykh Uthaymeen rahimahullah. Also deemed this to be the stronger opinion. The Hanabila and the Shafi'iyya. As for the one who also breaks their fast intentionally, then it's said that by the four madahib that they have to stay away from food and drink for the rest of the day. Al-imsak an al-mufattirat li sa'al al-yawm baqiyat al-yawm Yajib. They say it's a must that they have to stay away from anything that breaks the fast for the rest of the day. The second, man tanawala at-ta'am wa sharab nasiyan. The one who does it out of forgetfulness. Naam. فَلَا شَيْء عَلَيْهِ وَيُتِمُّ صَوْمَهُ. There's nothing upon them and they complete their siyam. They complete the fast. Let's say something entered your mouth, entered your throat without any choice of your own. I'm going fast down Beulah Hill. Or Gypsy Hill's a nice long one, yeah? You can see London, mashallah. And my bike just started to do 50 miles per hour. I don't have to pedal, I'm gone. And someone just came out of the petrol station towards the bottom and he bought a pack of biscuits. He tripped up, the biscuits burst open and one just went choop, straight into my stomach. What happens to my fast?
It's
It's still good.
just easier.
Was that the third one?
That's the third, that's the second type. That's the third one, yeah. That's the third one.
Just to double check, the kafara, is that the paying of the...
That's the expiation. Kafara is expiation.
Okay, so when we say, all four madhab say that they stay away from food and drink.
That's just what's upon them.
Okay.
That's not a kafara, that's just what he just say as imsak. They have to stay away from food and drink for the rest of the day. But let's say I was riding my bike and I saw someone with a pack of chips and I was just like this hoping that something goes in my mouth intentionally and that person's fast breaks if something goes in there. If they catch a chip, if they say, throw me one, that person's fast is what? Broken.
I have a question. Is it permissible to swim when you're fasting?
It's disliked because it's highly likely you'll swallow water. Some people can't swim, so they swallow as soon as they go in. Some swallow in the shower, let alone in the swimming pool. They can't take water.
Does that include the sea as well?
Yes, the same. Now, one should not take any risk. Al-ahwat, the safest thing is to preserve the siyam. So what you find in the Sharia, ma yuhram bi min bab al-sadd al-dhari'ah. What this is not permitted as a means of closing the door towards that which is not permitted. No.
Would you say the same for a sauna? Because it's like...
No, that's steam.
What would you do?
But a sauna in fasting, that's mad.
I did it last year. I was finished for the rest of Ramadan.
So you not even rest of the day.
Tried himself up.
You must be out. There's ultimate dehydration.
Yeah, I was done.
That's just like Allah
I
musta'an.
didn't
You're
think
already
it was
on
that
zero energy. Lesson learned, Mustafa.
I was new Muslim at the time, so I was like, I didn't think it was gonna affect
we
me.
have our fair share of new Muslim mistakes. Subhanallah. Sauna, you know.
Made me sick for the rest of Ramadan. I was hay fever as well. SubhanAllah.
You really set yourself up for failure
I
there.
did. I was at the beginning as well.
Subhanallah. You're good, mashallah. So don't go sauna. No. بنصيحة Mustafa, don't go sauna. Also, man ibtala, حكم ابتلاء الصائم ريقه. Swallowing your spit, your general spit. What's the ruling of this? No bas. As for gathering it, that's disgusting. And that will break your fast. And that is horrid. That is absolutely... Let's go to the next one quickly. Swallowing that which is in between your teeth. You had a nice suhoor. You went really in. Buffet. Different types of meat. And some happen to just get stuck for later.
Oh, that's...
And you wasn't using the miswak that day. It's a bit negligent. And you did, after Asr, and a piece of that lamb shank.
From Fajr to Asr.
Yeah. You didn't know it was there. What does it happen? That's marinated.
If it's unintentional, you're okay. If it's intentional,
It's fine. Because it's al-yasin ma'fu'an. That's something that is nothing. Okay?
What, even intentionally?
But no one really does it
You can't-
intentionally.
you can't
It's
ask
like, it's so small.
Mm.
But if you had like, you done something, you put the chicken up in the top part of the gun and we're trying to store that, like, that's disgusting too. We're having more discussions than just the authenticity of Siyam. We're talking about the Rufi al-Qalam. Is the pen lifted or not in those situations? You see? If you store your spit, so you gather it and then swallow it. Yeah. You know how much times I've explained this, but every single time it still makes me feel sick, the idea of that. Allah understand. It's like, have you seen a child, yeah? You know the children love chips? And they love chips so much, they chew the chip and they never swallow it. So by the time it's like time to swallow it, they've got like it's just there, like it's like a ball.
Substance.
Yeah, I understand. You can't do this with your spit. Also, for example, if a person swallows that which is not usually eaten, like a coin, grass, string, and other this, هذا باتفاق المذاهب الفقهية الأربع أفطر. That person breaks their fast. So if you swallow that 5p, nearly all of us have got some money left down there. You know, when we was young, swallowing money, Allah understand. Because you know, when you're young, anything, the first test is not it's not smell, it's taste. When you're a child, that's what you did first. You tasted everything. So you learned what's edible, what's not edible, right? And most children always swallowed money. Allah understand. That breaks your fast. That breaks your fast. Smoking. باتفاق المذاهب الأربع breaks your fast. وهو حرام. في رمضان وفي غير رمضان. Smoking is haram. As for a person who breaks their fast thinking that the sun has set, a person breaks their fast with ghalabat al-dhann. They thought the sun had set, but then it becomes apparent that it hasn't set yet. What happens with this person? اختلف أهل العلم. Difference of opinion. Two opinions. Those who say that person carries on fasting and there's no qada upon them. And others say that person has to make up that day. Now, those who say that the person has to make it up is the madahib al-arba', the four madahib. Those who say you don't have to make it up, هذا طائفة من السلف, a group of the Salaf, and also Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Qayyim, and Ibn Uthaymin, rahimahumullah.
If the Salaf said that it does. They said it doesn't.
Yeah, a group of them. So what we want to understand, madhahib al-arba doesn't mean ijma'. Madhahib al-arba does not mean ijma'. It just means those four madhahib. They are, why are they such a reference? Because they're the four madhahib that have been preserved. But there's other madhahib that was not preserved. Or some of it was lost. Now,
I was going to say, because the Salaf said it doesn't, wouldn't we have to take that opinion since?
Salaf is not, saying the Salaf says is not evidence though.
No, but because the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said the greatest generations my one than the one after. So when we talk about the Salaf,
Because Imam Abu Hanifa is from the Tabi'in. You see? So it's from the Salaf. Now, so here, again, is ikhtilaf between the Salaf. Because it's ta'ifatun min Salaf. So other of them are of a different opinion. Four madhabs does not mean ijma'. Now,
Who are the ones that said that you don't have to make up?
those who say you don't have to make up is Sheikh Islam Taymiyyah, Ibn al-Qayyim, which is a student, and Ibn Uthaymeen, rahimahumullah ta'ala. So those who say you don't have to make it up. Ta'ifatun min Salaf, it doesn't mention exactly who. Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn al-Qayyim, and Ibn Uthaymeen.
And so the four madahib say you do have to make up.
Yes. What's the stronger opinion? Wallahu a'lam, I would go with the opinion of Shaykh Islam Taymiyyah ibn Qayyim and Ibn Uthaymeen, rahimahullah. Based on the ayah, رَبَّنَا لَا تُؤَاخِذْنَا إِن نَسِينَا أَوْ أَخْطَأْنَا. فكان كان في غلبة الظن أن الشمس قد غربت. Because from what was the strongest inclination that the sun had set. You know? And that's a fine line made of saying the sun set and it hasn't set. Because no one's going to say the sun set when you can still see it. You see? So, now, the safest option to avoid this will follow your local masjid that is upon the Sunnah's timetable. Now, as for the one who eats and drinks out of doubt, shakan fi ghurub al-shams, in doubt that the sun has set, ثم يتبين له أنه لم تغرب, but it becomes clear to him that it hasn't set, that person يأثم وعليه قضاء. That person is sinful and they have to make up that day. Because it's out of doubt. The one who eats or drinks out of doubt, they doubt whether the sun has set or not. And it becomes clear that the sun had not set. That person has to make up that day and they are considered to be sinful.
Stop.
وهذا باتفاق المذاهب الأربعة.
So the prior person was certain.
Was basically certain.
Okay.
Like 98%, 99, 90%. Like, no. This person's more like 75.
So that individual is sinful and they must make up.
Yeah. Can someone have their phone out during Taraweeh to read the meanings of the ayat being read since it's Sunnah, Salah, not Fard? You can't read the meanings, you read the ayat. Not the meanings. Yeah, it's permissible to follow, but it's preferred that you don't do that. It's preferred that you don't do it with the Quran. فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. Now when the Quran is recited, then you should listen and pay attention. هذا عام. This is general. في الصلاة وفي غير الصلاة. Now, in the salah, outside of the salah. Okay? So maybe the one who's correcting the imam can look from the phone, but preferably it's that the people don't have their phones up or the mushaf. You should listen. Now. And not read the meaning. You be like this, not even hearing it. You read the meaning and you hear Allahu Akbar. And then you realize, oh yeah. Now.
Does this apply to recordings as well?
No, recordings is fine. Because you press the recording and then you start the salah.
I meant like when you're listening to like Quran playing on the phone.
Yes.
Do you have to listen and stay quiet?
No, you can listen, but if you're reading the Ma'an, you're listening and reading at the same time, that's no problem. Because you're not in salah. And you're listening, but what's better, don't combine the two. Listen and then read the meaning.
Not with the translations. Can you like talk normally?
No, you shouldn't be talking over the Quran. If you're having a conversation, turn the Quran off. Turn the Quran off. Shaykh Islam Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, he mentioned, يعني لعل المستمع إلى القرآن يؤجر بأجر القارئ. Perhaps one who is listening to the Quran will get the reward of one who's reading it. But that's if you're listening attentively. You know you're listening to the ayat that's being said. You know you'll be able to say, okay, you can recall what was just said, for example. Person is listening for background noise. هذا إهانة القرآن. It's not. يعني ليس من باب تعظيم القرآن. It's not from giving the Quran its due rights. Now, from the rights of the Quran, تلاوته واستماع إليه والعمل به والدعوة إليه. These are from the rights of the Quran. Now, the person should listen to it attentively. Now, as for, let's say, a person in the time of suhoor, they woke up, they didn't check their phone, maybe their phone died, but they looked outside, they said it must still be time. The Fajr hasn't entered yet. They eat, but then they come to realize that Fajr has entered. Their fast is correct. Their fast is sahih. وهذا قول طائفة من السلف واختار ابن تيمية وابن الثيمين. What about playing the Quran at a dawah table? I asked some scholars about this, said it shouldn't be done.
At a what?
Dawah table. At a dawah table, so you shouldn't play the Quran.
What's that? What's a dawah?
You know the table in the market that people have when they're calling people to Islam, a da'wah table.
Okay.
Like this. It's better not to play the Quran.
So could you just repeat the last point about the suhoor?
If you thought that Fajr has not come in yet, and you ate and then you realize no, it has come in, you come to it has come in, your fast is correct.
No problem.
Why do they say you shouldn't play the Quran on the da'wah table? Because you have enemies of Islam that are around, people that will disrespect the Quran. And then when someone comes to give da'wah, you're going to be talking over the Quran. But it's different. So some people get headphones and an MP3 player or something and say he wants to listen to Quran. And let each person listen individually. Have selected ayat that you can actually talk to them about Tawheed, ayatullah. Choose the specific ayat and then give an explanation. Don't just say, here, listen to the Quran. There's a difference between the Quran, no doubt, when you listen to it, it will affect you. There's no doubt. But we have to remember the kuffar of the Quraysh at the time of the Prophet Muhammad, did they understand the Quran? They understood it. They understood the meaning of Tawheed. They understood the Quran in the Arabic language. So when they heard it, it affected them. You see? Now, I promise you there's a major difference between me reading Sahih International, King Fahd, Quran in English, and understanding it based on the Arabic language, and then the resources of tafsir. The resources of tafsir. As for hifd, if I play it while going through my day, if you're giving it attention to while you're playing it. Like for example, let's say I'm cleaning up my house, but I'm listening to Quran, and I'm listening though, but I'm able to multitask, no problem. But if you're doing it for background noise, then this is not. You're better off putting on the news. No.
So like, for example, when I go fairs and whatnot, the perfume shops, they're playing Quran. Is that not permissible as well?
It's not that it's not permissible.
It's not advised.
It's not advised. But if they're listening to it, no problem. But if they are listening to themselves, no problem. One of the brothers in Fez, rahimahullah ta'ala, he was young man, but he was known, when I lived there, subhanallah, I know when he's closing his shop. He had a butcher's, and every night when he's closing, all you can hear is he loved Mahid Mu'aykali. And it's quiet, so I would hear it from my house. I could hear, the brother Ridwan subhanallah rahimahullah, I think his name was Ridwan, he's closing up shop. And he just listened to Quran. But they're not doing it without, they're actually paying attention to it. Now, sometimes you do it as though to show people it's better that you do this than what you play of music. Now, so if you have, it's either they're going to do that or do music, then obviously we're going to say, listen to Quran. No. Swallowing toothpaste residue after brushing teeth, if any labats. But avoid it, inshallah. Brush your teeth with toothpaste before Fajr. Now. Then use the miswak. Alhamdulillah. Miswak's actually very good, you know. Your breath won't smell. And it cleans your mouth. It's pleasing to Allah. It's very good. Now, the second issue when it comes to things that break your fast, those who are newlyweds and the height of excitement, intimate relationships, intercourse during the day of Ramadan, intentionally breaks your fast bil ijma' by consensus, and that person is required to do a kafara. They have to free a slave. If they're not able to free a slave, they have to fast 60 days consecutively. For the woman on her menses, the days of her menses does not affect the time. It doesn't affect it. It's still counting your 60 days. No, you finish your menses, you carry on straight away.
So you said
60 days in a row. For each day.
If you did it 4 days,
that's more than half the year.
yes.
So if you can't do that, then you have to feed 60 poor people. So I was put in caps. 60 consecutive days, brothers. This is hold yourselves. No.
What was the last part? If you can't do that,
You have to feed 60 poor people.
Maybe better not to get married in Ramadan.
Someone asked me that. I said it's not advised. Unless you get married just before Maghrib. So when you get married, you say Qabiltu. You say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Then you break your fast. You won't forget this fiqh issue now, inshallah. So let's say one day, if you have multiple intercourse in the same day, it's still one kafara. It's per the day, not per the times.
So what if it's not intercourse, but it's something less than that?
If it's less than that, let's say, for example, you're newlywed, never had any experience with the opposite gender, the first kiss, and you relieved yourself. It led to, ejaculation. That fast is broken. Or they touched your shoulder and the same thing happened. These things, they happen, even though it kind of is funny, but it actually happens to some people. The only time you're excused if you ejaculate in that fashion is when? Wet dream.
But what is it like? She touches your shoulder and it's uncontrolled, bro. You're not into
But she shouldn't touch you.
What is it?
If you know that you can't handle that, say don't touch me.
So their fast is broken and they have to pay kafara.
No, there's no kafara in this. Kafara is only in intercourse.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, they just make it up.
Yeah. Imagine you have to fast 60 days for being touched in the shoulder.
Stay in the other room. Just shut them completely.
No, but obviously I'm talking about a full-on ejaculation, not medi.
Okay.
You see?
Yeah.
Medi, if just something comes out, that's not Many only comes out from that push, that you feel the gush. As for Madi, that will happen even just by thoughts. That breaks your wudu and you have to clean yourself. But many, it comes with a gush, ejaculation, that breaks your fast. And this will happen while you're sleeping. If someone's sleeping and it happens to them and they're not married a lot, that means they need to get married. It's time to marry. Inshallah, we're ready.
So gush of ejaculation, that in itself causes an individual where they have to make up for a day.
Yes.
And then if it's like a wet dream, that's the only excuse that an individual has.
You carry on fasting, nothing's upon you at all. Nothing's upon you at all. But for each day a person has intercourse intentionally, then
How can you have unintentional?
you might have forgot. You're just so excited and aroused, you just forgot time and place. It happens. Just like how you forget with food and drink, it can happen. Literally can happen. You was made to forget.
Especially the first days.
Yeah. Like maybe you were sleeping and you just woke up and then the deed happened. But you was like, oh, subhanallah, we're supposed to be fasting. If she says, I know, and I knew, the problem is for her.
Oh, okay.
No. The kafara, the expiation has to be done in order as well. The kafara has to be done in order. First is freeing a slave. If you can't free a slave, then it is fasting 60 days consecutive. If you're not able to do that, then you go to the next one of feeding 60 people now.
In your example that you just used about forgetting, do you have to fast a day or no?
So, man jama'a nasiyan, the one who does it out of forgetfulness, siyamuhu sahih. Don't forget now. The one who has intercourse with their wife, or she has intercourse, and those who have intercourse forgetfully, their siyam is correct. Now, and they don't have to do anything. That is the statement of Hanafiya, Shafi'iyya, some of the Salaf, Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Qayyim, Sana'ani, Shawkani, and Ibn Uthaymin.
So today's day and age about freeing a slave, is that still a thing?
In certain places they may have slaves still.
But for us, let's say, probably
For you, go straight to the fast in 60 days.
So they continue their fast if you forgetfully engage in intercourse.
Yeah,
You just continue.
you carry on fasting.
But what is a slave? Like, what is the definition of a slave?
Al-Mamluk, that's one that's owned. One that's owned. No. Obviously, that's in majority of the places that's abolished now. As for the woman, that the husband forces her, that as a means of obedience to the husband, what's upon her if she lays with her husband and she says, I have to obey my husband, then she has to make it up, and upon her is the kafara, the expiation. Why? لا طاعة مخلوق في معصية الخالق. There's no obedience to the creation and disobedience to the creator. No, sir.
For example, if someone has a permanent permission to break their fast, are they allowed to have intimacy with their wives?
If she also is permissible to break her
Like
fast.
both of them.
If they're both permitted to not fast
Then,
and they pay, yeah, they can do their thing.
or they're traveling.
If they're traveling, they can do their thing.
But do they still have to do the kafar? No, they don't. Because they
Because they're permitted to.
It's narrated that some of the Salaf broke their fast with doing their deed at the time of Islam.
Islam is easy.
Alhamdulillah.
But Ustad, can you repeat the other one? If she has intercourse with her husband out of
Obedience to him, then she's also liable.
Okay.
She has to make up the day, and upon her is the kafara, expiation. No. And also, as I mentioned, the one who repeatedly has intercourse in the day. اختلف أهل العلم, but there's difference between what seems to be strongest is that the kafara is per the day and not per the time, the amount of times it occurs in the day. No. Should she fight him if he tries to force her? Yes. She should. And if he compels her, then inshallah she's from those who are mustakraha. Those have been forced and it's out of her control. And we ask Allah to save women from situations like this. I mean, you know, this is not the definition of a man that compels the wife to do these things. Allahu musta'an. Now, Sheikh.
When you come to business, Sheikh, is a person allowed to feed people not knowing whether they're supposed to fast or not, break their fast? Not if you have, I have a cafe or a restaurant, people pass by and they keep selling them tea or
It's no problem, inshallah. Some say, obviously, some say no, you can't, and some say you can. Because they say they're not mukhatab bishara. Like they're not mukallaf. They're not responsible. As they're not Muslim. For example. It's not upon you. Most of the Muslim countries anyway won't be open. In a Muslim country, majority won't be open. Anyway. No Muslim, also you're going to be in harm's way, your shop, you lose your business, for example. So it's like, what do you do? No.
Even then, they don't fulfill the first condition.
No, they don't fulfill the first condition of wujub al-siyam and Islam. And if a Muslim comes, maybe they are ma'adur, they are from those who have the excuse. About those who have restaurants and stuff, do they close their shops during the day and the likes? No. Of the things that is mentioned, akramakumullah, is those who have intercourse by way of the place you're not supposed to go. Upon them is to make it up under kafara. There's no shyness in knowledge. It's mentioned in the books of fiqh, but some people, they have sickness in their heart. May Allah rectify our affairs. The one who masturbates during the day of Ramadan, that nullifies their fast, but they don't have to do kafara. They have to make up that day. There is no kafara upon them.
And they don't eat, they have to continue until the end of the day.
No, he does it intentionally, yes.
What makes more sense? Is it make kafara or do kafara?
To be honest, when I learned Arabic, I forgot English. So I literally couldn't answer that question right now. Mazhar anta ustad now.
Is kafara not a verb? So it's just to kafara.
No, kafara is a noun.
And it's to make kafara.
It's to make a phone. They both sound the same.
It sounds the same.
Yeah, they both sound the same.
Let's say to fulfill the kafara. Let's come with a new word.
That's it.
The third one. So, no. It's no. If you work in a restaurant or a drink shop, you don't have to leave. You don't have to leave your job. Imagine I've got a certificate to teach English. I can't teach anymore. Corrupt English to learn. Now, as for the one who ejaculated because of touching, kissing, that person doesn't have to do kafara, but that day is broken, they have to make that day up. They have to make up that day. Yeah.
From intimacy, you have to pay the kafara. And you have to make up that day.
Yes.
So 61 days.
Yeah. Also, let's say someone looked at something shouldn't be looking at repeatedly until they ejaculated. What's upon them? There's no kafara, but they have to make up that day and make tawbah to Allah. Now,
When you do your 60 days, can you like decide when to start them? And it's from when you start them, you have to do 60 days.
yeah,
So you can just decide any day you want to start them. So
No.
after the Eid straight.
yeah.
Okay.
After 8 straight, you'll be 10 days away from Eid al-Adha.
That's true.
That's for one who does one day. The one who does it more, Allah must and kafara for every day. No risks, don't take the risk. There is also an opinion, the one who keeps looking and then they ejaculate, that they don't break their fast. And that is the madhab of Hanafiya and the Shafi'iyya and some of the Salaf. As for the one who ejaculates just from thinking, no action, just thinking, then this person doesn't break their fast. We spoke about the wet dream one as well. Now, what is the ruling on someone who hasn't made up his last Ramadan and the next Ramadan has begun? They have to do it, but they're sinful. So they have to do it after Ramadan, but they're sinful for not making up their Ramadan by the coming of the next one. That person has to make tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Stuff.
No.
You know the asthma pump, does that break your fast?
Asthma pump does not break your fast. Asthma pump doesn't break your fast. Injections that have no nutritional benefits at all don't break your fast also. Like if it's anesthetic for pain relief, or to put ink in the vein for the x-ray, or that area where they're going to x-ray, that does not break your fast. But any injection that contains any nutritional benefit at all, that will break your fast. Kidney wash breaks your dialysis. Dialysis breaks your fast. No.
If you had to assume, would you think like dental procedures, their injections have nutritional benefit or?
No, it's to numb.
Oh, okay. Is that what most of it is? I
Yeah.
haven't had any.
It's just to numb the area.
People that take medications, as in they have to take the medications and then they drink water, so as in pills. Example,
They don't fast.
They don't fast.
No.
Alright, cool.
If it's something that if they're able to make it up, they make it up. But if it's something that's a long-term illness that they're always on medication, then they pay. That's the hukm al-marid, the one who is sick. Also, the one who vomits, not by force themselves to vomit, their fast is correct. If a person vomited, and it was just not from themselves, like they didn't force themselves to do it, their fast is correct.
Would you continue to fast all
If you vomited by yourself, yeah, your fast is correct, so you still fast. Blood coming out of the teeth and stuff while you're fasting, as long as you don't swallow that, that will not break your fast. Obviously, the woman on the cycle, that immediately breaks her fast, even if it came in 2 minutes before Maghrib. That fast that day is broken.
You still have to make it up? No.
Yeah, 100%. If someone didn't fast for Ramadan's, whatever reason, Jahiliyyah, then thinking they had a medical excuse which may or not have been accurate, like, there's no such thing as thinking you had a medical excuse, you have to know. These matters are built upon certainty. You can't think you have a medical excuse, you have to know. No, so you have to make up the days and make tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Getting your bloods taken for examining, blood test, doesn't break your fast. As for hijama, اختلف أهل العلم. Two opinions. Those who say it doesn't, those who say it does. Al-jama' بين الأمرين, combining between the two opinions, is that if you fear that doing hijama will cause you a level of weakness that you feel compelled to break your fast, then you stay away from it. You stay away from it. No.
I have a question about the traveller.
No.
If the journey is easy and you know it's easy, do you still have the choice not to fast?
Yeah, you have a choice.
And if you stay in a place and you know that the place you're traveling to is more than 4 days, do you still have the choice not to fast the first 4 days?
The first 4 days you don't fast, yeah.
Okay.
Oxygen gas does not break your fast. Oxygen does not break your fast. Nose drops breaks your fast.
Paracetamol and those things.
Paracetamol is a nose drop.
You can, yeah.
If that's going to be, I mean, so if it goes down your throat, yes, it's going to break your fast. But if it's something you can put in your nose, it doesn't go down your throat, they say it doesn't break your fast. No.
So what about eye drops?
Eye drops doesn't break your fast unless you got an issue with your eyes that actually goes down to the back of your throat. Same with ear drops as well. Should I stop eat 10 to 15 minutes before Fajr? No, you should wait until the adhan goes, that Fajr's come in. Because the sunnah is to delay suhoor. You don't need to taste the food. If you mean to taste the food, if it's spicy, then you just dip your tongue in it. If she has to feed her child, she dips her tongue in it to see if it's spicy or too salty or relaxed. It's allowed to taste the food. But it doesn't mean you put a mouthful. No. If a person has severe heartburn that's going to cause them harm by fasting, then they may be permitted to break their fast. Wallahu a'lam. No. There was something I wanted to say now that distracted me. I lost it. No. Any questions?
What about a person that intends to break his fast? As in, he's going to intend to break his fast by eating something, but he doesn't eat it.
They say your fast is broken. The person who makes intention that they're breaking their fast is broken.
Ustad, what about an individual that's in like medical profession? They've been placed in a specific rotation that obviously handles with female cases in intimate areas and whatnot. Or how can one navigate through that in Ramadan? It's a very specific question. I know.
Yeah.
It's for medical students. It's quite. I don't know.
Is it not avoidable?
It's planned rotation.
I mean, you have to do that side of things.
Obviously, you get as much as you can in those UKs.
That doesn't break your fast though.
Okay, it doesn't break.
Yeah.
Alright.
That's a different issue.
Well, Allah may Allah protect you
I mean,
and all of the students in that. The thing is, we need Muslims in medical professions, but what they have to go through to get there is what is a test. You know. So if fattakullah mastata'tum, fear Allah to the best of your ability. Allah yusallimukum. Any other questions? خلاص we'll stop there inshallah. اللهم صل وسلم على نبينا محمد محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. جزاكم الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Remember tomorrow, no class. Zero class, no tomorrow. No class tomorrow. Inshallah. Monday we resume with tafsir. Is there a good book in English that goes through making up the wrongs of not fasting? Tawbah. Any book about Tawbah?